Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sequoia Lending. What an exciting Wednesday night. So, again, guys, for the last few weeks, we have been concentrating talking about the wellness program. We have a lot of results, and I'm looking at my pipeline right now. We have over 30 different companies is ready to sign up, and I think out of those 30 companies, total, we are talking about somewhere around 200, 220 employees that is going to be receiving free benefits. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go out there and start spread the word. Talk to your community, talk to your small businesses, and let them know that we can get them free benefits for the employees. A lot of saving for them. Okay, now why are we getting this program onto our platform? Is because through this wellness program, you are able to get in front of the business owner directly. And guess what? All business owner, regardless the size, regardless how long they've been in business, regardless good or bad, they all have one thing in common, which is they all need money. And that is what we are doing right here. In Sequoia, we are a commercial lending company. We can do projects as long as it makes sense. Most likely we can get the funding for our clients. Okay, so again, utilize all the tools that we have so that you can get in front of the decision maker, let them know that you are in commercial lending, and so when they think about getting funding, they think about you. Okay, so that's what I've been doing. What we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. So today, from this week on, we're going to switch gear a little bit and back to our main core business, which is commercial lending. And as most of you know, in commercial lending, and one of the major product that we offer is fix and flip. And that's, as a matter of fact, that's how I started this business. When I start the commercial lending, start off just funding fix and flip here and there, and then eventually venture into other bigger projects. So today we have special speakers on the line today. But instead of me introducing them, I would like to introduce this person first. And many of you is going to be hearing from him. And as a matter of fact, perhaps some of you already met him in person during our last event here in Maryland. Here's our loan advisor, Mr. George Frankel. So he is going to be, well, he's not going to be, he is here to help us to evaluate our 1 to 4 units, fix and flips, construction loans, single family investment property, so on and so forth. And he is a lender himself, so he knows this space very well. So he is here as one of our advisor, helping a lot of you to, funding the this type of deals. And he's going to introduce himself, what his role is, and after that, he will make the special introduction to our guest speaker tonight. So, Georges, are you online?
I am.
Yes, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks. I appreciate the kind words. I've known Alan for a while now. We've done a lot of business over the years, commercial deals, fix and flip deals, bridge loans, etc. We've even collaborated on real estate projects that turned out to be pretty successful. So we go back a long way. As you all know, Sequoia offers a variety of financial products, but my role here at Sequoia is to ensure that the real estate loans, the submissions get handled quickly and efficiently. In addition to what I do here at Sequoia, as Alan mentioned, I'm also part of a local hard money lending firm. So I've been involved in different aspects of real estate over the years. I partnered with Alan to help grow this side of the business and make sure that all the files that are submitted, go to the right lenders, that deals move through our platform as quickly as possible, and that every loan submission gets handled with the intention it deserves. Our goal is to close deals at the end of the day, and none of us make money if we don't close deals. So rest assured that your team here at Sequoia is doing all we can to get your deals to the finish line. On that note, connecting with the right lenders is very important to our success. And tonight, I'm introducing you to Ground Floor. They're a rehab lender that does rehab loans and new construction. We work with them quite a lot. I thought it'd be a great idea if they can come on tonight and introduce themselves in the loan products. Quick story, me and one of their VPs used to work together in DC, and he left the company to go work for Ground Floor. So I've been noticing and I've been seeing their track of growth over the years. They really understand what real estate investors need to grow their businesses. I love their products. They're a great company to work with, and we plan to do a lot of business with them in the future. So without delay, I'll turn the floor over to Jeff Seals and Steven Vanderhart and let them tell you all about Ground Floor.
I appreciate it. Is it Patrick you're referencing?
Yeah, correct. Patrick Donahue, correct.
He's
Yep.
a good personal friend of mine. I do love me some Patrick. He's a good man.
Everybody does.
Yeah, man, he's a good guy. A
He's a
lot,
great guy.
a wealth of knowledge. Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. Yeah, what I'd like to do here. Let me go ahead. Can I go ahead and share my screen if that's okay? And I'll go ahead and jump into this real quick. What I'd like to do. So this is actually this is a presentation I do about once a month. That really is just kind of. Can you see that? Okay. Okay, great. So this is something I do once a month. What I thought would be useful is that we kind of go through the basics of ground floor, because there's some nuances to ground floor because of what ground floor is. It wasn't created to be an origination shop, and so a lot of the decisions we make from an underwriting perspective come from where we came from, where our roots are. And so it's a worthwhile for me to take a couple minutes so you kind of understand what that is. If for no other reason, you might find interest in participating in it yourself outside of just coming to us for some lending possibilities. But so this is just the basics, man. And my favorite part of this entire thing is definitely the Q&A piece of it. I'll try to run through this. It'll take about 15 minutes. And then when we get to the Q&A part, by all means, let the questions fly. That's really going to be the part that I'm most interested in. So this is me. I'm head of originations here at Ground Floor. I've actually been at Ground Floor twice. So this stint, I've been here 4 years. In between the two stints, I actually left Ground Floor, started my own origination shop, got up and running, and then COVID wiped it out. And so I had always been in good contact, good relationships with Patrick over at Ground Floor, and subsequently ended up coming back. So I've got I don't know, 5 years of Ground Floor under my belt, about 10 years of industry experience under my belt. But big fan of Ground Floor, very blessed that they brought me back, and have taken good care of me ever since. So what I'd like to do is, again, I'll cover who Ground Floor is, because I think that matters. We'll quickly touch on where we lend. I'll just show you a map, and we'll send you this deck if you don't already have it, so you have it to reference when it comes to product information. Why Ground Floor and the benefits? That's what everyone wants. That's the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about. And then we'll get into kind of a leverage and product overview. Again, very, very high level stuff, but we will touch on that, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So to start off, so this is one of my favorite slides. It's been around a long time, so it's slightly dated. But what I'm trying to describe is what Ground Floor originally started out as. And so it wasn't created to be an origination shop, like I said. The purpose of it was to create an investment platform. So no different than what E-Trade did back here in the 80s and what Robinhood, Stash, Acorns do now, is to create a place where you can steward your own investments on a platform that's outside of your typical 401k type of efforts. But the difference is instead of trading in stocks, bonds, and ETFs, we trade in real estate. And even more so, rather than being similar to the share states and the Peer Streets of the world, we got the appropriate requirements of the SEC that allows us to trade with non-accredited investors. And so anyone with $100 can log onto the website, and that $100 is then is incrementally broken up into $1 increments, and that's how it's invested into all the transactions. And so it's diversified through. We can do it for you as an auto invest. You can actually choose what you're investing in based on geographic preferences or experience preferences. But that's what Ground Floor is. It's an investment platform that allows non-accredited investors to play in real estate. And we've got over 230,000 of them on our platform. And some quick bullets here: 10 years of history, 24 million in annual revenue, or a little over 80 employees, and about 31% customer owned. And so that's who Ground Floor is. And to kind of build out the ecosystem, it should be pretty self-explanatory, but the premise of it is Ground Floor sits in the middle of those individual investors. And when I reference investors, I'm not talking about the people that you and I deal with. I'm talking about the 230,000 investors that are looking for real estate transactions to invest in on our platform. And then our real estate entrepreneurs, our borrowers, our developers, our builders, those are the people that we deal with. And so sometimes the language gets tricky here internally because investors can mean two different things. But we, of course, offer flexible alternative financing. I mean, that's what hard money is. Most cash in hand. We've got some high leverage products. We don't claim to be the cheapest, but if cash on cash return matters the most, scalability matters the most, we're a pretty good partner to have in your capital stack. And it is asset-based lending, right? So we don't do any deep dives into your financial or the borrower's financial position, right? So debt to income doesn't matter. Credit score is checkbox. It just has to be a certain level. It doesn't really drive the outcome of the loan. It's really about the asset and then what experience you have to drive your leverage. Okay? And then on the individual investor side, again, the goal is high yield. So anyone who's on our platform is experiencing 10+% returns. I think my portfolio is in the mid 11s. I think Reed's is 12.3. I don't know why he's 12.3, but the point is it's high yield returns, short durations, and as little as $1. So again, that's what ground floor is. And I think it's important to spend a couple of minutes on that because it does drive some of the decisions we make, both good and bad, on the borrower side. So that is that. So where we lend, well, we cover most of the United States here. If you see states that you're operating in that's not here, we may not have a great reason behind that. It may be we haven't had enough business flow for it to make any sense to attempt to operate there, or there may be a reason why we're not there. So if there is one, by all means, let me know. I'm happy to pull a white paper on it and see if it makes sense for us to make a change in that. Sometimes volume dictates those changes. Okay. Okay, so why ground floor, right? So this is what it's all about. So getting to the benefits. And so we have high leverage products available for any experience level. So on top of just saying we work with borrowers with no experience, we can actually offer up to 85% LTC with borrowers with no experience. And so what we have offered and created are high leverage products, which will give you maybe a 5% bump on leverage as long as the borrower is willing to take a bump in rate, right? So if they're willing to pay to play, we're willing to participate in that. One of the main benefits of ground floor that we've carried for 10 years, and I think we're the only company that does it correctly, is we offer no payments for the life of the loan. And so once you close, that's your closing and down payment. That's the last monetary obligation you have in the loan. The interest accrues on the backside, and it does not affect the economics of the loan, right? So we don't increase a budget to account for payments. We don't make the borrower bring it at closing to make sure that the loan stays in good standing for the secondary market. It quite literally closes. And if you have a 12% loan, for example, then the interest is going to accrue at 1% a month. Simple interest, it does not compound, and it'll be part of your payoff. So that's when you actually take care of the interest of that loan, which is interesting. It has a very DSCR feel to it because the project itself services its own debt, right? You don't have to stroke a $2,500 check to wait 30 days to stroke another $2,500 check, right? So cash in hand month over month is pretty easy with our product. One of the other things that we do is still more on the unique side of things is origination points, origination fees are rolled into the loan. That, of course, is a no-brainer. That's understood on a refinance, but on a purchase as well, we actually increase the loan to cover origination points and fees and broker origination points and fees. So there again, not claiming to be the cheapest out there, but we are claiming is we have a great product for maximizing the cash left in the hand of the borrower, right? And this is another example of that. One of the reasons we do these things is, again, recognizing if people are rate sensitive, we're not going to be that originator for them. And so what we do, recognizing our rates have to be what they are and our points have to be what they are, which, by the way, is governed by what ground floor is, right? So if, for example, if you're an investor on the ground floor platform, that is free, right?
Oops, I think he just dropped out.
Yeah, we lost him.
Okay, well, it's okay. I'm sure that they are going to come back. Let me see.
His screen froze.
Okay, so basically, I hope that you capture some of the information that he was talking about. So in the traditional fix and flip, okay, the client, in the fix and flip, this is how it works. You have the purchase money, and you also have the renovation money, okay? So there are two portions of the money. But now, for most lender, they will fund it depending on the experience that you have. Most lender will fund you up to 90% of the purchase money, depending on the experience, and give you 100% of the purchase money, okay? However, all the fees and points and everything that you have to pay outside of these two pocket of money. So basically means that you have to have your own money to come up. However, with ground floor, with their program, they can actually roll the fees and points and everything into the loan. So essentially, our investor is paying less money upfront to get the deal done. So a lot of them is actually paying in the back. So that is going to be huge to a lot of investors where, you know, they want to do more deals. They don't want to come up with that much money. And in this case, utilizing this program, we can make this thing work for, you know, for investor, especially when they're doing a lot of deals. So currently right now, we have a customer, we have a client that is doing 4 deals at the same time. So obviously think about this, 4 deals at the same time. Just imagine, if you imagine just $300,000 a deal, right? So you're talking about $1.2 million. And if you need to put money into it, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. But with this program, I think this client can only put in a few less than $100,000 for all these 4 deals, and we are able to fund him the, you know, in process to give him the funding. So George, I know that you are actually working on these 4 deals. Can you touch up a little bit about, because I think that you know ground floor a lot better than I do. Can you touch up a little bit about, you know, what your experience is with them?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so for experienced investors, like you mentioned, Alan, the key is being able to come to the table with less money. As you know, we all investors try to leverage what they have, and so the key is to bring as little as possible to the table, and also keep as much money in the pocket as possible. And so, for experienced investors, GroundFloor allows then that investor 8+ properties. Like if you're able to demonstrate 8 or more projects that you've done in the past 5 years, and that's something else that GroundFloor does. A lot of lenders only look back 3 years. GroundFloor actually goes back 5 years. And if you can demonstrate that you've done 8 projects within the past 5 years, you qualify for that 100% financing, which is 100% of the purchase price and 100% of the renovation cost as well. In addition, they will roll in the points. And so at closing, a lot of lenders will charge points, and they'll actually, bill that. You have to come with that to the table. GroundFloor will actually roll the points into the loan, so you have less money to bring to the table. And also, another key component is no monthly payments. I mean, I've been a rehabber, I've done a lot of projects, and so that the ability to not have any payments to basically worry about everything at the end once the property's sold and paying off the lender is great, because in addition to fixing the property, having to make a payment and paying your workers and paying material and also making a mortgage payment every month can be a headache, especially if you have multiple projects going on. And like the gentleman that Alan's talking about has 4 deals on the table, we'll have 4 deals on the table, no monthly payments whatsoever. Is coming out of pocket on average per deal about between $7,000 to $9,000 a deal. So most of his money is going to go towards renovating the property and maybe finding other deals. And that's a good thing too. They allow up to 4 projects, at a time for experienced investors. Now, not everyone qualifies for that. That's an experienced investor. But as Jeff was saying, even with no experience, you still qualify for the 85% loan to cost, which is pretty high, because some lenders, and Alan, you know this too, some lenders, if you have no experience, they're not going to touch you. They're not going to want to deal with you at all. And so they actually allow the first-time investors to get involved with the right leverage. So again, a very great program for investors, for rehabbers in particular.
Is the rehab portion, is it still the same in terms of being done in draws and reimbursement?
Right. Yes, exactly. Same thing. It's held in rehab. The rehab is done on escrow, and you just call once you do a certain portion. The inspector goes out to ensure it's been done, and they release the draw. Correct.
In 3 days.
Okay, so looks like we're back online. Jeff or Steven, are you online? And you can continue on. Steve, if you want to talk, you need to unmute yourself.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we hear you okay. Yep.
Man, that was wild. Then it wouldn't let me unmute. This is I apologize. That was an impressive amount of difficulty. I appreciate you guys stepping in, George. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Where did I leave you off? I'll try to run through it way quicker. I don't want to waste any of your guys' evening. Let me see here.
You
We
said
got
you're
through-
going to
we
make
got
us
through
$1
these
million a piece.
What's that?
You say you were going to make us $1 million, something to that effect.
Yeah, that's exactly why I was going through this for sure. Exactly why. Did we get into the ground floor benefits here? Do we
Go a little bit more. Yep, a little bit more. Note. Yep.
We
Yep.
covered those.
You're talking about rolling all the interest and fees into the loan.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually glad you said it that way. We don't roll the interest into the loan. The interest is not part of the economics of the loan, just the points and fees.
Right. Points
The
of fees,
interest
sorry.
just accumulates. Yep. I'm actually glad you phrased it that way, because that is how it's perceived, but that's not actually how. The reason I say that is because it's important to recognize that when we're creating the loan and we're talking about LTC, we're talking about LTARV, the financing in, or not financing in, but the accruing of the interest does not affect those numbers when we're actually calculating the loan itself. So there are some lenders that do that. I just want to make sure that we are distinguishing ourselves. All right. So the next, so no financial documentation. This is what I was running into. So outside of a new construction loan, we don't even collect bank statements. So if you say you're going to bring money to the closing table, I believe that your borrower is going to bring that money. We're going to bring ours. And since there's no monthly payments, there's no reason to qualify any interest reserves, and there's no reason to collect prepaid interest because there are no payments, right? So that is a little benefit that we have. We internalize the valuation process, and so we don't order appraisals, which is nice. There's pros and cons to that. So we don't take this biblical document that says the value is what it is. One of the values is we don't have to wait to receive the appraisal, right? So we're getting these inspections that determine feasibility of the budget that take 3 days instead of waiting a couple of weeks for the appraisal. So we run everything off an inspection only, and the inspection is really just to determine current condition of the property, gather some photographs so we can make an intelligent decision once we have it back here in house. Once we have that inspection back, we actually take the budget and get a secondary review of that budget, because we find more value in that than we do someone dictating what the value is. If we can get a good understanding of what property condition is, it's not difficult for our team to determine the value. Additionally, if it's the right, but we have borrowers who have done quite a few deals with us, and because we don't take this appraisal as a biblical document, sometimes we'll give a borrower the benefit of the doubt, right? If they've done a handful of deals with us and we never align on value, and he always shows us he brings the value, then we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and we can do that because, again, it's our money. We get to make the decisions around it, and we're not ordering an appraisal that gives us any certain guidance on the value. We do soft credit pulls. I always find value in that. I think it's worth mentioning. And we do a look back on experience 5 years instead of 2 or 3 years. And experience to us, if you're trying to do a new construction deal, but you have 4 just purchase and renovations, that's fine. If you have 4 rental properties, that's fine. That counts. I think it's important to talk through what experience actually means, right? You could have an agent that's been an agent for 20 years. But that doesn't really qualify from an experience standpoint, right? It doesn't document the way hard money lenders want to document it. But we will document a rental property. We'll document purchase and renovation and new construction. And we've taken it a step further. If you're a licensed general contractor, we'll immediately give you the credit of 2 experience. So if you have a borrower who's carrying that license, but it's their first deal, they're gonna have a leg up from an experience standpoint, which will better their leverage position because of that. Same thing with builders as well. So that is the ground floor benefits at a high level. So get into the core leverage programs. This, outside of talking about high leverage, this is what our core leverage program looks like, right? Didn't reinvent the wheel around it. But what's nice about this is as you look through these, and let's say we're looking at an experience of 4 to 7 and we're going 90% LTC. That is a loan to cost reference. So that's 90% of purchase and 90% of reno. We don't do an LTV quote. In other words, it's not 90% of purchase and 100% of reno. But what is interesting, and you'll see this when Steven starts quoting the deals out and showing you the pricing tool, when you have deal flow coming in, is you will see, because of the points being financed into the loan, in many cases, our 90% LTC loan, and it all depends on the size of renovation budget to purchase price and a couple of other variables. But a lot of times the deals price up to show us covering 90% of the purchase price, or 91% or 92% of the purchase price, because we're increasing the loan amount to cover the fees, which means the amount of money going toward the down payment, or to reduce the down payment, is increasing. So we'll show you how to look at the pricing tool that'll give you an apples to apples comparison when you have us compared to another lender that's giving you an LTV style quote. So, but I think that's important to acknowledge, because we do a blended 90-90 instead of an LTV type of quote. And then rates range currently at 10.5 up to 13. We'll see some rate changes and adjustments here pretty soon. But the high leverage program really just takes, and again, that's a 5-year look back, really just takes a 5% bump on the leverage for usually a 1% bump on the rate, right? So someone with no experience can go 85, someone with 2 to 3 can go to 90, 4 to 7 goes to 95, and then 8 experiences over a 5-year span will run 100% LTC. As long as we're monitoring that 70% LTA-ARV cap, right? But again, it's one of those, if they're willing to pay the rate, and a lot of them are, is what we've discovered, just to keep transactions moving. The overall revenue on a deal-to-deal basis means less if they can keep wholesalers coming to them to trade out property, right? So there's value in that. Downside to high leverage is there's limitations on the size of the budget. So we want to take that into consideration. You can't do a heavy rehab loan and do 100% financing, right? So you've got to monitor those limits a little bit. But our core product, which is the majority of our business, falls within these realms. All right, super easy. Just run through process flow, right? So BDM to set up a user account. So Stephen is the contact point, right? So as Alan or George reaches out to Stephen for the initial pricing, we'll get back to you on whether or not we think the deal looks good. Just the old-fashioned way. We're not going to push you into a system to get your information. You're just going to send an email, send a text, make a phone call, and we'll get that to you. Once a borrower is ready to go, we'll set up a user account for the borrower, and then they'll kick out an application link to them to complete, right? So there's no paper application. It's directly through our system. Once the application comes in, we collect the application or valuation fee. And so that $495 fee covers the feasibility inspection that we're going to do. Just like they would pay for an appraisal, they're going to pay for the inspection. And so that's the only upfront fee that they're going to pay prior to the close of the loan. But again, similar to an appraisal or BPO fee. After that, once in order to go to the next step, once we have the scope of work and the purchase and sale agreement, at least those 2 documents and the application, then we can actually order the inspection. So we want to make sure we at least have that information in so we can get the inspection ordered so that we're not sitting around wasting a bunch of time. And while we're waiting on the inspection, we'll gather up with the remaining documents, which is pretty light. There's a credit authorization that'll be signed. There's entity documents to be sent over. There's an experience sheet to fill out, right? We try to do as much as we can on our side to pull reports to qualify as much as we can without the borrower having to send it all to us. Most of the time that works. Occasionally some of the documents the borrower sends over poses more questions than it answers. So we'll ask for more, but it should be pretty simple. First one's always the hardest, of course. Gets easier as they go through. Once all those documents are in, the inspection by that time is in, file goes into underwriting. The underwriting takes 24 hours to 36 hours to go to qualify the credit, the deal, and then the valuation. And then we come out with a conditional approval, and if the file's perfect, they're going to ask for insurance, and that is about, and assigned terms, and that is about it. After that, we move to closing. So from conditional approval to closing usually takes 3 days, and that really isn't anything to do with us. It's just how long it takes title or our closing department to balance a HUD, review the documents, confirm wires, etc. And that's it. Always simpler when it's written out, but yeah. And real quick, before we get into the Q&A, we do have a full stack financing over here. So we've started doing second lien. So we're tinkering in this space. We don't do a lot of them, but it is a product that, again, the investor side of the business wants high yield, and a second lien offers them high yield. They're less concerned about the actual risk, oddly enough. So we have started dabbling in second liens, and this currently it's only a second lien on our own first lien, right? But we will come in because it isn't a desired product for our investor base. And of course, it's a desired product for our borrower base. It makes sense that we offer this, right? So we will do, we have deals now that aren't limited by 70% LTA-ARV. So what we will look at is profitability over a 12-month burn, and determine whether or not a second lien matters. And if it works, we will send 2 wires at closing. And in many cases, we have borrowers that are not only bringing $0 to closing and we're covering their down payment, but we're also covering additional closing costs, taxes, title, insurance as well. So that product does exist. The math just has to work, right? But would love to size some of those out for you guys as well. But that is our full stack. And yeah, I'd love to, unless George's have answered all of them while I was off, I'd love to answer any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff. Thanks a lot for the great presentation. In your opinion, what are you seeing on the market right now? Do you see the volume increase more than last year? Because to us, last year is kind of quiet on the fix and flip because just the interest rate has gone up so much.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing these days?
Yeah, so we've been pretty static. So we didn't see business drop off at all. We actually even were able to pause some programs and take because the business was high enough on one side of the business that we could pause other programs to have an opportunity to really just kind of clean house and better those programs and roll them back out. So no, it's been static. There hasn't been, we're not in a growth period. I do agree. But that's specific to fix and flip. DSCR is in a growth period because interest rates went up, and we'll see at the tail end of this year. We'll see some light drops in overall interest rates, and of course, 2025 will show us even more, and so fix and flip will become more relevant and prevalent then, as you know, as spreads get bigger. So we're gearing up with an expectation that fix and flip is going to continue to slowly grow throughout the year. But yeah, we were static. I don't think we didn't see a reduction in business, but we certainly didn't see a growth in it over the last probably 6-7 months.
Yeah, great, wonderful. In terms of the loan amount wise, what is the low end that you can fund? What is the minimum loan amount that you would like to see?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So the short answer is 75,000. However, what we've done is we've thrown in some little qualifiers within our guidelines. But if you have a borrower that's done this, that has experience in a specific geographic location, trading properties lower than that, we will consider it. So if the borrower's buying at 50 and putting 20 into it and selling it for 100, and he can show us he's done 7 of those on his experience, he's building a rental portfolio, we're gonna back that guy. If it's their first deal and they're trying to do a $50,000 loan, I think we all know the risk of a loan of that size from a default scenario and how quickly you can get upside down in those. So we wouldn't participate in that. But experience definitely helps them go below that 75K mark.
Great, wonderful. Yeah, because it's a lot of the lenders just do not want to go below 100.
Yeah.
You know, now what about zip code? I know a lot of the lender, for some reason, there are a particular zip code in the country, for example, like Baltimore, Cook County, and things like that. They don't want to fund. So how about in your shop? What is your opinion?
I am following that lead currently as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we are out of Illinois completely now.
Okay.
And there's a multitude of reasons. That's not necessarily because everyone else is doing it. That's because I can show you a book of business that put us in a pretty bad place we have to show our investors that we take that potential loss seriously. So we have pulled out of Illinois. Honestly, we're in a bad place because we were dealing with a broker who put us in a bad place, who understood our products all too well. And just was less than honest in how he was structuring loans coming over, and put us in a pretty bad spot. So we've got to show that we take that seriously. So we've pulled out of Illinois, did the same thing in Baltimore. There's a couple of places in New Jersey as well, and all of Michigan for the most part, the exact same reasons.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, guys, any other questions would like to ask? Feel free to jump in. Okay, feel free to ask your question in the chat box, and we will try to do our best to answer. All right.
Hey, Jeff, can you explain also the assignment fee, what you guys do there? Because I know a lot of deals come through us via wholesalers. And I know that you guys are a little bit more generous when it comes to assignment fees and allowances without penalties. So can you explain a little bit about the assignment?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I'm going to put you on my Christmas card list, because usually when people start talking about assignment fees, it's because they're mad about it. But yeah, we do monitor that. It matters. We do allow a 25% markup. That does seem generous, but we do allow a 25% markup. Anything beyond that, again, we're not positioned ourselves as an originator, right? So the reputation of Ground Floor as an investment platform matters. And if Grandma feels like she was taken advantage of, or someone thought Grandma was taken advantage of because of a wholesale markup, and Ground Floor is a lender on that, we look like a bad guy. If we look like a bad guy on the investment side, we run out of money, right? So it matters, right? Because we're not institutionally backed. So we do have to take those things into consideration, but even in those considerations, we'll still allow a 25% markup.
Oh, good.
Stephen, quick question for you. Do you guys have in your platform the ability to refinance any of these properties?
Yeah, you're damn right. We do. Sure. Yeah, we do have refinance products. That is not a problem. Yeah, we have refinance renovation products, and then just straight refinance, no cash out products that run. So what we have right now is we do have a 24-month. We haven't used it a lot. Would like to see more of that. A 24-month that is a monthly pay option. We haven't advertised that we have that. It is something even as of today, in a strategic leadership meeting that it came up. It's something we'd like to see more of, and I think there's a need for it. We have a 6-month bridge loan. So if you're just stabilizing, and you need to pay off your purchase renovation loan, we of course have that at 70%, and we have cash out at 60%.
Cash out 60%.
Yep, 60% currently. I'm trying to get that higher. That is a pretty constant arm wrestle with my underwriting team.
And you guys handle Illinois, correct?
Yeah, we're out of Illinois at the moment. No, I think it's all Illinois, dude. Yeah.
Are there any counties in Illinois that you won't work in?
Well, we won't work in any, I think we're out of Illinois. Well, I need to double check that. I think it's just Cook County. It might just be Cook County. Forgive me.
I'm praying.
Really?
Oh,
Okay.
you're saying you're out of Illinois. You're not doing Illinois.
Well, I think I may have misspoke, and Mr.
Oh.
Stephen might be correcting me here. I've got a lot of spinning around in my head. It may just be Cook County. We can work in other areas of Illinois.
Just not Cook County.
It may just be Cook County. Are you sure? I have 2 files. All right, hey, I'll take it. All right, we'll get back with you on that.
I'll circle back on you, George.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem.
I do have another question, Jeff. Oftentimes we run into client where they bought the property for a period of time already. For some reason, they just not ready to renovate the building at that time. And then after a period of time, they are ready. Now they come to us asking for construction money.
Mhm.
How do you deal with something like this? And I know in our world, a lot of time we can just only do a cash out refi for that type of property, but unfortunately the value is just not there yet. So they're not able to get the funding that they need to renovate the building. So
Yeah.
do you have anything special program that can help these people out?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually hate the idea of giving cash out on a project that hasn't been renovated yet. We do a lot of refinance renovation. So there's 2 scenarios. If a borrower has, and this is actually a pretty new guideline, if a borrower has purchased a property and it's under 12 months, or a property was bequeathed to them or whatever, we'll of course do a renovation loan on that. So we'll do a cost basis loan up to 85%. So
Okay.
So we may give them 85% back to the cost of the purchase, and we'll give them 85% of the renovation dollars. Worst case scenario actually is we will give them $0, but we'll fund the renovation entirely. That's the worst case scenario.
Okay, good.
Best case scenario, if they held it for more than 12 months, we'll actually give them 85% to the value of the property and fund 85% of the renovation.
Got it. That's pretty good deal.
Yeah.
What about construction? Do you do ground up construction?
About 30% of our book is ground up construction.
And you only do ground up construction for single family homes, right?
Single up to 4 unit. Yes, sir.
Up to 4 unit. Okay, great. Wonderful.
And those carries the same benefits. They're interest only loans. Our new construction are interest only on dispersed as well. I'm sorry. The new construction are deferred payment loans as well as interest only on dispersed loans.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so besides the fix and flips, ground up constructions, do you do any other DSCR type of loans?
I'm currently working diligently to launch a DSCR product. The reason it doesn't exist today is, again, because of what ground floor is. We have 230,000 investors that are used to getting over a 10% return on their money. And so for us to introduce a DSCR product that's amortized,
Totally understand.
8% or 7%, they're like, no, we'll just take the 10. And because it's not that we're completely against institutionalizing that product, it's just, well, for a long time, we were completely against being institutionalized at all. So we shied away from it. But we're having a real conversation because it's such a large, it's a $2 billion a month business, right? So it makes sense that we start dipping our foot in instead of trading it out to everybody else. So I would imagine by the next time you and I are on the phone together, we will have a DSCR product. Yeah.
Got it.
Probably nothing special about it. It'll be like everybody else's. You just get to work with Steven.
Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
Okay, guys.
I got another question for you, Stephen. Are you guys more, you guys are more property and project driven and not so more credit, right? I mean, do we have a more leverage on maybe some challenge situations with credit, but yet the deal makes sense?
Yeah, this is a really good question. We're more going to be, I would say we're an asset-based lender, and we're an experience-based lender too. So we really look in at both of those. If the deal's good and you have some good experience, we require a minimum of a 640 credit score. So anything below that, we would actually ask you to maybe find a credit partner that would go on that loan with you. And the way I look at it is, with all due respect, if it's somebody we should be lending to, they're probably going to be able to find a credit partner pretty easy, right?
Yes.
Also, and to that point, when it comes to partnering up like that, we take the mid score of the highest set, right? So if you bring on a credit partner, you absolutely can do that. So if you have all the experience and you're running a 580, and you bring on someone with no experience and they're a 720, the deal will get underwritten based on the 720, and then it will get underwritten on the experienced borrower for the experience, right? So you can truly partner. Where I know some lenders, they're going to take the lower. They're going to take the borrower with a lower mid score.
Okay.
Where we're going to take the borrower with a higher.
Yeah, we've done 100% financing for borrowers with 518 credit, but a credit partner that's 640 or above. And the reality of investors is that all the good investors, they're going to probably have high credit utilization because they're swiping their card at Lowe's and Home Depot to get material. So they're like legitimate. And so that's just the nature of the beast. They're going to have lower credit for that reason.
Right. Got it.
And that's a change. That's a moving target too. 640 was probably, we've only been doing that for a little less than a year. It was 600, right? So that's a target that moves regularly.
Can we use you guys' funds to do any type of foreclosure bailouts?
Man, when we do them, the borrower usually has to cover any default interest. We don't like to create loans that cover interest, like defaulted interest or default fees. But there have been some we've helped them get out, not necessarily defaults, but like maturity issues that are where they've received notice of default. It's not actually in a foreclosure yet. But once it hits foreclosure, it gets pretty dicey. Not opposed to it. Again, it's asset-based lending, right? So it's
yeah. I was just wondering.
Everyone's no rules. I mean, I wouldn't shy away from looking at it at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
there's a few questions on the checkbox asking, are you not in Michigan either?
We are not in Michigan.
You're not in Michigan.
Currently,
And
yeah.
asking about Baltimore. So you're not in Baltimore.
We're not in Baltimore.
Not in Baltimore. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Better chance we add Michigan back in than Baltimore, I think. I'd like to get back in Michigan, actually.
Okay, great. And Deborah is asking, can you explain again why Ground Floor does not ask for monthly payment if a borrower borrows money?
Oh, fantastic question. I feel like she's teeing me up. So that goes back to what Ground Floor is, right? So where our money comes from. Our investors don't expect a return on their investment until the transaction's done. So when disposition happens, right? So why would we charge them why would we charge a borrower a monthly payment if the investor is not expecting a monthly dividend? So we rolled that benefit to the borrower, and we just don't charge a monthly payment. So that is the main reason. It's just we realize it's something that we can do because of where our capital comes from, and so we rolled that out. And again, we're trying to offset our costs, right? So if I'm going to come at you and say, well, I'm going to be at 11.5 and 3 points, I know that sounds pricey, but you're never going to have any monetary obligation for the next 12 months.
Mhm.
There's a lot of value in that, right? So we recognize we have to do things like that to ensure that our product makes sense from a cost perspective.
Right.
But yeah, that's the reason. That's where it came from 10 years. That wasn't a new thing. We've done it for over 10 years now, almost 11 years in April.
Right.
We don't collect. We are not even set up to take a payment.
So to you guys, you've been already doing this thing for 11 years, but to us, Sequoia, this is a new program to us. And honestly, we have been in this business for a long time, and
Yeah.
we never run into a lender that do not charge monthly fee. And this is a huge,
Yeah.
huge promotion, way to promote our this service to your community. And I'm sure that when you talk to your fix and flippers, investors, and let them know that, hey, you don't need to worry about paying for any type of payment for the next 12 months, a lot of them is going to listen to you, and that is music to their ears, just because now they can really focusing on get their job done, and they don't need to worry about coming up with the monies to pay for the monthly fees and so on and so forth. So actually, there's a lot of pressure on a lot of these investors, and especially they are doing multiple deals at the same time. So this is definitely a huge features that we can promote out there.
Yeah, we'll think of, so let's think about some of the impacts of picking a monthly payment. So if you have changes that take place in your scope of work and it's going to cost you money, but you have to write a $2,500 check for the interest payments, I mean, where are you going to go for that money? You end up on a credit card. If you get a credit card, that's going to impact your credit. So like, it will snowball out of control from a dollars perspective. I don't know. I do like it. We could talk about it all day long, but it's an easy sell. You're 100% right. We definitely lean on that pretty heavily. Now I will tell you, it's really hard to determine whether or not a property or a project is in good standing. So from an asset management perspective, what the borrowers will expect is if we don't see a draw request for 30 days, we get nervous as we start reaching out, like, hey, what's going on? What happened?
Right.
Because if people ask us, if we have a loan in good standing, we can't just check to see if they made a monthly payment.
Mhm.
Right. So updates and communication with us matters greatly.
Got it. Wonderful.
Hey, Alan,
Yes, sir.
I got another question if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Stephen, so are you familiar with PS Funding?
PS.
The company PS Funding? I guess they're going out of business or what have you. Something they must have gotten sued, but I guess the courts is ordering that that I guess their book of business that they have to I don't want to say liquidate, but they have to discount, those properties that whoever loans that they had at a great discounted rate. Okay.
Oh.
I got a client that owns about 60 properties with them, and he's got 8 properties right now that he needs to get done as a bundle loan, at a discounted, whatever the court is discounting their value. Is that something that you guys will even look at in a situation like this? It's like 1.6 million total on the bundle.
Is he just looking for a short-term bridge to take the properties down, or their renovation dollars included? Or are these turnkey?
These are turnkey. This is gonna be straight refi. They have to refinance it.
What's the value on each door?
Total, well, these are single families, so 550 is the value right now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 1.6 million is the value. 1.6 million is the total value.
On 8 doors.
Is what's owed.
We can talk offline about that. I've got some comments. I'd like to talk about that. Let's I'll have you and Steven hook up on that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Couple of ideas on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Your buyer is not the one being foreclosed on. He's purchasing these from PF.
He's not purchasing. He already owns them.
Okay, so they're making him refinance because of their financial position.
Exactly, whatever the situation is, exactly.
Got it. Okay, that's different. Yeah, man, I think we could probably figure that out. I mean, he really should get into a DSCR program, of course, but we could definitely bridge the gap to help him move quickly.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, anyone else? Well, definitely tonight there's a huge pool of information right here. So thank you so much, Jeff and Steve, for coming online to share with us. And I'm sure that we will do a lot more business with you guys. And the way that I see this, right, Sequoia teams, when we go out there to generate deals like this, oftentimes your client is going to ask you to compete with you on rates. Oh, they're saying that, I get this rate from this lender, I got this term from this lender. So now we have a lender right here that you don't need to compete with rates. No matter what kind of rate that they have, you fight back with them saying that, hey, how about I don't need you to pay mortgage payment for the next 12 months? And I don't think anybody out there can would offer something like this. So that is going to be a huge, huge selling point for a lot of these investors. And quite frankly, guys, to a lot of the investors, interest rate is not that important for them. It is actually their cost of doing business. But because there's no other things for them to compare, and that is why they want to, see who has a better deal. To them, who has a better deal, meaning that who has a better rate. But however, if you can bring this deal in front of them that, hey, I don't need you to pay mortgages for the next 12 months, this is a lot better deal than any other interest rate out there. So they are willing to pay a little bit higher fee, higher rate to get a program like this that they do not need to worry about paying them back. And they don't even need to reserve their interest for the next 12 months. So,
And now I add one more thing. The points are rolled in, and
Exactly.
the fees, lender fees are rolled in. So there's less money to the table. So in addition to not having any monthly payments, you're bringing less to the table, which means a lot if you're doing 1 to 2 deals. So that's really a huge thing as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, no, you're absolutely right, guys. And one of my favorite things to do when borrowers start hounding me about rate, I ask him how long it's going to take them to finish the project. And no one ever says it's going to take them 12 months. Like, well, I'll be done in 3. I'm like, well, then the rate really doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, you're not going to
Absolutely.
pay, you sounds like on a 12% note, you're going to pay 3% if you're out in 90 days. I don't see what the problem is, right? So
Absolutely.
couple that with the fact that you don't have to pay points at closing and no monthly payments. It's not a bad deal.
Yep. And guess what? Once these investors know that you have this kind of program, and they will just keep coming back and coming back and coming back because no one else out there offering this type of service.
Yeah.
And that is why a lot of the investors that you talk to, they are jumping from one lender to another lender to another lender. It's just because they're pretty much all the same out there, and they just trying different lenders for for the heck of it. But for something like this, nobody out there is offering it. And that is why this gentleman, once he came in and start one deal with us, and now he has 4 deals, right? Jeff, with this gentleman that I don't want to name a name right here, but he already George, in 2 weeks, he submitted 4 deals.
We
right?
literally, and Steve could attest to this. He's got 1 deal in underwriting, 2 he's paid for the appraisal already, and he's got a 4th one coming as well.
Great. I mean, this will be the hardest. I mean, the first ones are always hard, right? But I mean, most of our business comes from residual. We don't do much marketing on the lending side. We just deal within the same pool all the time, and so it just gets easier, man. The more after it, of course, closing the first one's the hard part. Always is. You got to figure out each other's pulse, but no, it sounds like that guy's pretty excited about it.
Yes.
Let's talk about closing time. So let's say after you close one deal, I know it takes 25 days, 30 days to close the first one, which is fine. So once you get that client in, how fast can you close the second, the third, the fourth?
Oh man. I mean, we start hovering around the 10 to 14 day range. There's still things outside of our control, right? There's 10 people that have to agree to close a real estate transaction. It's amazing they happen as often as they do, quite frankly.
Right.
But no, we're still bound by title timelines and inspection timelines, but all the for the most part, all the documents are already in and they follow the borrower. So we're just gathering a purchase agreement, a scope of work, and he's paying a fee and we're getting an inspection. I mean, so hitting a 10, 11 day mark happens often once they've been through our platform.
So sounded like the gentleman, we're going to close all 4 deals for him pretty much very closely next month in sometimes in April.
Yeah.
So whoever that you bring in that deal, whoever the loan consultant that you are that bring in that client, you're going to get paid 4 times next month.
Yeah.
Can we advertise this as private money?
I don't mind that. I guess the difference for me is there's obviously private. Yeah, you could. I mean, the difference between private money and hard money, you could almost argue hard money is kind of an infinite amount of money. It's institutionalized. I think you could call us private money. I mean, we do call ourselves a hard money lender, but you call us private money because we are not institutionalized.
Right, exactly.
So I would, if anyone challenged you, that's what I would say. I'm like, well, they're not using a hedge fund or an insurance company or an institution for their funds. They're using 230,000 individual investors. That sure sounds private to me.
It's private. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
So yeah, you can get away with that, man.
Yep. Absolutely.
I like it.
Yes, yes, it is for fix and flip. That's what we are talking about tonight, for fix and flip, and this also can apply for construction as well. Okay, guys, time's up. Well, thank you so much again, Jeff. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you, guys.
Steve.
Thank you.
I do see that we will more and more business going to your way. That's for sure. And I'd love to bring you guys on board online for more and more trainings. Okay. So
Yeah, that sounds great. We can run through the pricing tool next round. It'd be awesome.
right, absolutely. So Sequoia team, go out there, generate deals. I said it over and over and over. Coming to Wednesday night training like this is great. We love to see you. We love to have you online. But the most important thing is that, hey, it would be more fun if you can put a paycheck in your pocket. Here in Sequoia, we pay out every Friday. So ask yourself, when are you going to get your first paycheck? Is it this Friday or next Friday? And now with programs like this, with the wellness program, with this program, with ESC, all kind of program that we have on our platform, there's no reason you're not getting a paycheck every Friday. Okay, guys? So again, with that being said, thank you so much again. And until then, we see you next Wednesday. Good night,
Next Friday.
everyone.
See you guys on Friday too.
Good night. Thank you.
All right.